Forget watering your garden for weeks with this 4,000-year-old system. If you've ever missed a few watering days and come back to wilted plants, cracked soil, and heartbreak, this article is for you. Fellow gardeners, today I want to share a method so old it predates modern irrigation, yet so effective it can completely change how you garden. This is not a trend, not a hack, and not something invented on social media. This system has quietly kept crops alive for over 4,000 years in some of the driest regions on Earth, and once you set it up, you can forget daily watering for weeks at a time. Welcome back to Rootshaven Grounds, where we garden smarter, not harder. What I'm about to walk you through is an ancient irrigation method called olla irrigation. And before you think ancient means outdated, let me tell you this up front. For home gardens, raised beds, food forests, and even container growing, this system often outperforms modern drip irrigation in efficiency, simplicity, and plant health. The ancient secret that still beats modern watering. Olla irrigation was used by ancient civilizations in China, North Africa, the Middle East, and Central America long before hoses, sprinklers, or water pumps existed. The principle is beautifully simple. Unglazed clay pots were buried in the soil near crops and filled with water. Instead of water flooding the surface or evaporating under the sun, it slowly seeped through the porous clay walls directly into the root zone. Here's the magic part. The water only leaves the pot when the surrounding soil is dry. When the soil is moist, the flow slows or stops naturally. The plant roots literally pull water as they need it. No timers, no guesswork, no waste. This is not just old wisdom, it's intelligent design. Why this system lets you skip watering for weeks. Traditional watering wastes a shocking amount of water. Much of it evaporates before roots ever see it. Some runs off, some sinks too deep. Olla irrigation flips this problem on its head by delivering water exactly where plants need it, at the pace they need it. In hot climates, gardens using ollas can actually go 1 to 3 weeks without refilling, depending on the pot size and, how much water your plants need. In cooler or mulched gardens, that gap can be even longer. Once roots grow toward the olla, they become deeply established, making plants way more resilient to heat stress and drought. Water scarcity is really becoming a global issue. Even in regions that used to have reliable rainfall, dry spells are getting longer, and honestly, more unpredictable. Here on Rootshaven Grounds, we talk a lot about resilient gardening, and olla irrigation just fits perfectly into that philosophy. It requires no electricity, no pressure, and no constant supervision. Once installed, it quietly does its job in the background. This makes it ideal for busy gardeners, off-grid homesteads, and anyone who travels or just can't water every day. It's also, one of the most beginner-friendly systems you can use. Honestly, if you can dig a hole and fill a pot with water, you can use ollas. So let's talk about how to set up olla irrigation the right way. Let's get practical for a minute. Setting this system up correctly really makes all the difference. You'll need unglazed clay pots for this. This is critical, really. Glazed pots just won't work because water can't pass through them. Traditional olla pots usually have lids, but you can easily adapt standard terracotta pots for this. 2 pots sealed rim to rim with waterproof adhesive create a sealed vessel with the drainage hole plugged. Alright, so you'll want to bury the pot in the soil so that only the neck or opening is above ground. This step is really important because it prevents evaporation and keeps debris out. Just make sure you place it close enough to your plants that their roots can reach it, but not so close that roots invade the opening. Over the next couple of weeks, plant roots will naturally grow toward the moisture source. After that, your job is really just to refill the pot when it's empty. It's honestly that simple. Olla irrigation shines in vegetable beds, especially for tomatoes, peppers, squash, eggplants, leafy greens, and herbs. These plants just love consistent moisture and respond incredibly well to deep, steady watering. It's also perfect for raised beds, which tend to dry out faster than in-ground gardens. 1 or 2 ollas per bed can dramatically reduce watering frequency. Fruit trees and perennials benefit as well, particularly during establishment. A buried olla near a young tree encourages deep root growth rather than shallow surface roots that fail during drought. Even container gardeners can use smaller ollas or clay spikes with the same principle. The ancient method scales beautifully to modern spaces. Gardeners often underestimate how much water they waste. With olla irrigation, water savings of 50 to 70% are common. That's not marketing talk, it's physics. Because water is released underground, evaporation is minimal. Because water is released slowly, runoff is eliminated. Because plants regulate intake themselves, overwatering disappears. For those gardening in hot climates or under water restrictions, this system can be the difference between a thriving garden and, constant struggle. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. One common mistake is placing the olla too shallow. If most of the pot is above ground, you lose efficiency. Bury it deep so the water feeds the root zone. Another mistake is spacing ollas too far apart. Each pot has a limited wetting radius. Larger pots serve larger areas, while smaller pots need closer spacing. Finally, don't skip mulching. Mulch works hand in hand with ollas by keeping the soil cool and reducing surface evaporation even further. Together, they create an incredibly stable growing environment. Because, moisture is concentrated underground, roots actually grow downward and outward instead of just staying shallow. This leads to plants that are more resilient, more drought tolerant, and, better anchored in the soil. Over time, gardens watered this way become easier to maintain, not harder. The soil structure improves, microbial life really thrives, and plants become less dependent on constant human intervention. That's the kind of gardening philosophy we stand for here at Rootshaven Grounds. Ancient wisdom for the modern garden. There's something deeply satisfying about using a method that's survived thousands of years. It reminds us that not all progress comes from new technology. Sometimes the smartest solutions are the ones that have truly stood the test of time. Olla irrigation isn't flashy. It doesn't beep, spray, or sparkle. It simply works, quietly and efficiently, while you focus on enjoying your garden instead of constantly watering it. If you've been looking for a way to garden with less stress, less water, and more results, this ancient system might be exactly what you've been missing. Gardening doesn't have to mean daily labor. With the right systems in place, your garden can almost take care of itself. Olla irrigation is one of those rare techniques that benefits beginners and seasoned gardeners alike. And once you try it, it's hard to go back. If you found this article helpful, make sure you subscribe to Rootshaven Grounds for more timeless gardening wisdom, practical techniques, and real-world growing strategies.